Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. I'm going to take a second in this video to talk about the thing that I do for a living, and that is criticism. Yes, reviews, opinions, perspectives, thoughts. It's what I do. Recently, I dropped a review for the new Breakins record on my main channel. It was not a super positive review, I will admit that. Didn't like the album as much as I hoped I would, given my enjoyment of some tracks off of the Punk 2 project. A lot of my problems with the record came down to its lyrics, came down to its concept, and there was a lot of unhappiness in the comments about that. Some of which voiced discontent with my view of the album, saying I kind of missed the point, even though the record's egoism and its post hoc justification of that egoism in its final moments, to the degree this character portrait is a complete fabrication for dramatic effect, which it obviously is not. I don't know, it's not a very interesting one, at least in my opinion anyway. I mean, you can enjoy the record anyway. Maybe those issues are not a big thing for you. Maybe you even enjoy those aspects of the album. If so, that's completely fine. You are free to do that, just as I am free to not enjoy those elements of the album. So yeah, there were some who were saying I was missing the point, but there were others who were unhappy with the fact that I drilled down so deep on the lyrics of the album in general. Maybe I should have given a bit more praise to other aspects of the record or graded it a bit more leniently based on those characteristics. Maybe I'm getting a bit too focused on one thing. Maybe I'm getting a bit too myopic. Can the lyrics or maybe one single component of a record or a song ruin the entire thing or prevent it from being as enjoyable as it could be? And my answer to that would be yes. Yeah, I think one component of a record can be so bad that it holds it back. There have been plenty of instances where either a vocal or some lyrics or an instrumental part or some mixing or a host of other things, one single thing on a track has kind of ruined it or fucked up the whole thing. I think this is especially the case for vocals and lyrics, especially when you're talking about most forms of popular music. Lyrics and vocals are often some of the most prominently mixed elements in any song, and for the listener are most likely the only or most obvious window into the artist's thought process, their feelings, their emotions. That's not to say there aren't other ways to convey that, or that music that's purely instrumental is by some way inferior. That's not the case. But really, let's not kid ourselves here and just act like lyrics ain't that big of a deal, especially on an album where the artist has taken the time to put all these lyrics into a greater theme and concept that arches over the entire record. Like when you are literally crafting a concept, I would say the lyrics really matter more than they would in any other instance, honestly. Like if this or any other album were just a random smattering of songs about a variety of different things that didn't connect or reinforce each other in any way whatsoever. And maybe on top of that, let's say that the vocals were just washed out in reverb and buried in the mix and you could barely make them out. And other elements of the instrumental are just like kind of burying them and just spotlit a bit more prominently. And lyrically, the artist is just kind of like throwing out meaningless drivel, almost like the equivalent of a lorem ipsum. Yeah, maybe in that instance, I would look at the lyrics and say, okay, well, maybe they're not that big of a deal. Kind of hard to drill down into something that is so obviously meant to be, I guess, a bit of a background element. Or maybe there's just a lack of effort or focus put into that thing, which can be criticized as well, but that's kind of a different criticism than saying, oh, these lyrics that are very clear, very upfront, very in your face, and building a larger concept are kind of bad, at least in my opinion anyway. So I hope what I'm illustrating here is that a lot of this stuff is on such a case-by-case basis and depends greatly on the emphasis that the artist is putting on that aspect. If the artist is, again, sinking a lot of their effort and a lot of their focus into the keyboard parts of a record, but seemingly every keyboard part of that album is awful or mediocre or badly performed or badly mixed, then yeah, as a critic, it's kind of like going for the jugular in a way. this thing, this basket you have put all of your eggs in, is a very bad basket. I essentially have no choice other than to point out that you're doing this, because to ignore it would just to be, just not addressing the elephant in the room. Much in the same way that if I were reviewing, let's say, a dub reggae record, but the bass lines were all awful, or the echo delays were off and didn't like fit the grooves and rhythms of the tracks, yeah, that would be a really huge fuck up. And not to imply something as abstract and as personal as lyrics can be just so easily categorized as a whoopsie. But again, the point is essentially if a singular component, a major component of a record or a song is lackluster or just not really kind of meeting expectations, yeah, of course that can hold a song or a record back from its full enjoyability or even just kind of ruin it. I don't think that's a strange or all that far-fetched of a concept, honestly. Those are my thoughts on that. Let me know yours down in the comments. I know you will. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano. Music, lyrics, album, ruin, forever.